Woo! How are y'all doing today? Daddy is here. The markets are here. I love it. I love it. I love it. Guys, look at this. Does this not look good? Does this not look good? No matter what we heard over the weekend, all the bad stuff, markets are pumping. But we are at a critical level for BTC right now. We're at a trend line. We need to review all of that. We're also going to look at what are the other key levels that we have for crypto. But it's not just crypto. We've got stocks pumping and we've got gold going down, 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 down. So with stocks going up, crypto going up, could we be going into an altcoin season of some sort of form? Maybe. But we've also still got a lot of global tensions going on. Friday evening, the interaction with Iran, I will say, happened. We had a 4-hour live stream on Saturday covering it. It was only on X because that one was, yeah, I didn't. I'm trying to stay good on the tube, you know what I mean? But so that one was only on X. But markets look good, guys. Markets look good. We're going to dive into a lot today. If I could just ask you all for one thing, if you're here joining, please like the video if you're on YouTube. It helps out a lot. Click that like button. If you don't already have the subscribe button tag, go ahead and do that as well. And if you're over on X, please retweet. Just one little clickety click. I can make a little tutorial, but you just go down and push retweet, and it means the absolute world to me. And drop a comment if there's anything that you want me to look at. Let's see what that by ICP. Okay, what's up, man? I actually really like the internet computer. I think it's misunderstood. Pump and well shoot missiles is a new one for me, man. It's almost like, to speak on this, it's almost like you should do the opposite of what you think you should do. That's how I feel sometimes. Like if I'm like, oh my gosh, the market's going to go down, the market's going to, and I short, it's like, boom, liquidated. You're, well, I always use stop losses and stuff, but you know what I mean? It's almost like you should do the opposite. And the reason is because the market is forward looking. You know, a lot of these global tensions were already priced in. Now, the part of it that's not priced in, I think, was the attacks on other Middle Eastern countries and the Gulf states. Like we've seen things happening in Dubai, Qatar, or Qatar, some say. But, you know, a lot of that has happened. The UK prime minister, or whatever he is, came out, and we can get into that as well. But yeah, that very, very interesting. Let's yeah, I'll get into that. One thing I do want to say, shout out to our stream sponsor, Blowfin. It wouldn't be possible without them. We're on month 2 of the Finance Freeman live stream, and they are the sponsor of this stream. So if you happen to be looking for a new exchange, they're who I use for all of my trades and all the trades we're going to go over in here. I actually had a short earlier this morning that closed it out pretty quickly, but a little profit, but it wasn't a good one to share because it wasn't like a long-term trade. It's really hard to share trades where you're like, okay, this is like a 1-minute time frame kind of degenerate thing versus like a long-term thing, because would never want somebody who did their own research and maybe something moved the other direction on them and they took it. But I think this is a good way to go into the segue that no matter how good I might look and my hair might look sometimes, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is ever financial advice. Always do your own research. Also, since we're going to be getting into a little politics, I am not any kind of political scholar or anything like that. I enjoy history. I enjoy macro finance, and I enjoy learning how the whole world interacts and how, you know, some people might just be zoned in on BTC, but you're missing 99% of the story of what's happening. You know, this world is so big. And what really intrigues me about the financial markets is how they just always come to the right answer. Like things are always priced in ahead of time. Things are always like, or 99% of the time, right? But we've also got some stocks that are really doing amazing numbers. One of them, Circle, I first showed it on stream at like $52. And I think it's close to hitting 100 like a month later, you know. But like I said, not a financial advisor. I do want to share something that released that I dropped this morning. I dropped it on YouTube and I dropped it over on X, the Anthony Pompliano interview. After this, you know, whenever you get a second, and if you're watching this on YouTube after it was recorded, when it's posted as a video, I will have it linked down below. I'll show y'all just a little intro to it. I found a little funny clip that I did on the intro, so I'll show y'all this real quick. But Anthony, what a guy, super good guy. Let's listen.
I'm an optimist. Right? I did the numbers go, I'm gonna put a 0 on it, right? Who's asking?
Is the Federal Reserve late to cut interest rates? How is Bitcoin going to react to the new monetary policy? And artificial intelligence is changing everything about our lives. Today, I sat down with Anthony Pompliano, a longtime Bitcoiner, CEO of ProCap Financial, and one of the most influential and respected voices in macro, crypto, and finance. You've seen him on CNBC, you've seen him on Fox Business, but today we have him on Finance Freeman. The conversation gets deep and gets realer than I ever expected. Who is Anthony? So guys, did I do good on that intro or not? Let me know. Let me know down in the comments. Let's see. We got some people. Can it dump back down to, can it dump? Well, yeah, it could dump back down. Yeah, definitely could. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. So, you know, like I said, I had a little short this morning, and I'll tell you why I took it and things like that. So if we come back, let's go to this right here. Okay. And so you could see right here, hit the repost. There we go. Based all might. I love you, man, even though you dogged me down pretty good. Look, guys, I'll show y'all something real quick. I'll show y'all what my dude did to me. Because Empress posted it, so that'll be the easiest one for me to find. But we took a picture when we were in ETH Denver, and he made me look like I was a dwarf. Let me show y'all something that's pretty funny. Golly, I post a lot. Look at this. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. I think the guy likes me. I think he likes me. But I don't. What is this? You know, maybe I'm just joking, buddy. I love you, man. Thank you. So let's get into BTC. So we've got a couple levels that we have to watch, obviously. Okay. And if we take a look, I'll love, that's my boy. Okay. Good person. Met him in real life. Solid dude. Solid dude. Gave me 2 floaties, Pepe floaties that I gave to both of my kids. But let's take a look at this. So here's the capitulation that we had, that we were going down, and we tagged 60K. Y'all know I got front ran. I had orders at 58.1K for BTC. I was going to buy it, put it on cold storage for my kids, but I got front ran. So my kids, I don't know, maybe they just have to work the rest of their lives, but no, I'm just joking. But so we went down there, then we came up and we hit this high of 72. Okay. So really, until we flip this 72 into from resistance into support, the same line, just think of it, the same line, but right now it's support or resistance, and we got to flip it into support, right? So then we also had this lower high formed, and then we had another lower high formed, right? So there we're able to draw a trend line based off of that. And if you see this right here, I took it right here at the top and I closed it right here at the bottom pretty much. It was a very quick trade. It was, you know, I was just playing around with some stuff. But if we just kind of look at this candle, let's clear some of this stuff out. And I'll tell you what time frame. This is the 4-hour candle. And so like, this is not a good 4-hour candle. I'll just be honest. Now, the previous 4-hour candle looked really good. Right. So you got to take all this into consideration. The previous 4-hour candle was a 7% pump on a $2 trillion asset. Right. And so here it wicked out, or what I like to call liquidity sweeps, because I'm sure there's a lot of people looking at the same trend line, right? That same line right there. And they got, you know, maybe some potential trap liquidity. Something else that we need to look at is, where is the liquidity for BTC right now? This is going to be long and short liquidations. And you can kind of see, if let me come back over all the way. You can see we've got some liquidity up here at around 70.6K, which is currently, if we're at, 69K, that's a little bit higher, right? So it's about right here, we could say. And that correlates with this level right here. So we have this level that we're put, and we can put that as yellow for now. We can call that liquidity. And so, yeah, I mean, it's totally possible that we do this. It's totally possible. It's also possible that we break out. We just have to know what levels to watch and what are the key levels that we can flip from resistance into support. I think those are the really big things that we want to be watching right now. So risk reward right now, the reason I went short, and I probably should have kept it open, you know what I mean? But it's okay. I mean, it all depends on what time frame you're trading to. Like if you're trading the 5-minute candles, but something like this, if we were to take a look at it from this time period to this time period, we were having a little divergence. But like I said, this is a very low time frame, right? It's really hard to take a look, a lot of analysis off of this. But either way, let's say we do go down. Let's say we do go down to right here, 64. The bigger thing that I want to highlight is not everyone zooming in on the 2-minute time frame or something like that, is the fact that when that escalation happened on Friday evening, right? Let me look at the date for Friday. When that happened, okay, the 27th. So let's find the 27th. When that happened right here, we didn't even take out the previous low for BTC. You see that? Like we had this low here, but we didn't even take out that low. That shows you that there is a ton of, one, confidence in BTC, two, that it was strategically done where it just so happened that the conflict started after the stock market was closed, right? And it had the weekend to not resolve, but for people to soak it in and understand what's going on. But two, it just shows that a lot of the sellers have capitulated. I've said it a lot, but big price moves happen not from areas of weakness. They happen from areas of strength. And what I mean by that is when you're up here at all-time highs, you've got a lot of people in profit, right? Like there's a lot of potential profit taking to be had. When you look now, what's the catalyst for somebody to really dump? Okay. You're even with or under the price to mine a Bitcoin. You're very close to the 200-week simple moving average. And a lot of people who have bought BTC over the last, say, 6, 8, 9 months are underwater. If they were going to capitulate, they probably would have done it on the way down. Or even the people that are capitulating, they're doing it at, lower levels. Like there's, not that much of it, So we could totally ride this out a little bit longer, but everything's looking pretty good. Like I said, I like to zoom out a little bit and keep in mind that what happened was bullish in the sense that we did not even take out the previous low, let alone this low. Something like that, Iran thing, it wouldn't have surprised me if we would have hit the 200-week simple moving average or lower, but we didn't. And so, like I said, for anyone just joining, if you are looking for a new exchange, our official stream sponsor is Blowfin. I can put a QR code up there that makes it really easy for anybody that's interested. I try to share all my trades. None of them's financial advice. I win trades, I lose trades. But I do try to teach technical analysis throughout everything. But looking at the liquidity where we're at, we definitely have some liquidity down below, because what happens is you get days like this and nobody is bullish down here, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's Monday market open. Freeman posted that futures were down, all this, right? So nobody's bullish right here. People get bullish up here. You know what I mean? And so that's where people get in the longs. And when you get in the longs, that's where potential short leverage, targets for people to be liquidated. You know what I mean? So like here's some down here at 65K. If we go back a little bit further on BTC, you can see there's really not even a ton down here. Let's go back a little bit further. Yeah, I mean, obviously down here 62, 60 where we hit the low, but overall, it's pretty we've got, I would say, more liquidity to the upside than the downside, but that doesn't mean we're ready to break out of it right now. But what I like to do is use these times to be positioned for when that breakout happens. When that breakout happens, I want to be positioned for that. And so I want to come through and let's see, we got some more comments over here. In what world does WAR start bull runs? Well, that's a good question. Historically, conflicts have been very bullish for economies. There's a lot of money being spent. There's a lot of stimulative things being spent. And so if you just joined, what I said earlier in the stream was like, it's almost like I should do the opposite of what you think, right? Like, oh man, this is so bad. This is so bad. But then when you look at it, typically those mark the bottoms. Like if we look at Liberation Day, the worst drop in like a day, fear and greed was bad. Like, let's go back and look at that. Where was it? That was in what? April. So like we had these large drops. Like we went from like, what was it? Was this it right here? 97 or no, it was right here, right? Yeah. So right. No, that was the October 10th event. Okay. Where was Liberation Day? What was that? Was that October, April? I'm trying to remember. But the point of the matter is that max fear is in capitulation typically is the bottom signal. And, a lot of this was already priced in. A lot of people were thinking that, we were going to be going to Iran. If you look, there was weeks of ships being sent over there, people being told to evacuate different bases and things like that. So, I mean, it's kind of like, who cares? Like, it's already priced in. So yeah, so this was the Liberation, the October 10th thing. And that also had the Binance thing. And but it marked a temporary bottom for now. And and it went from what, 102 back to 116. The difference with this than the stock market is that I think we had some structural damage in crypto, like market makers and things like that going under. First time I didn't DCA on a Sunday night and it pumps Monday morning. I know, like I said, I should always do the opposite, But one thing I will say is that Monday dumps often lead to pumps throughout the week. And sometimes Monday pumps lead to dumps throughout the week. So it's just something we should always keep our mind on. If we come look at some other things, some news, this Kobayashi letter, very good follow over on X, that is coming up, this week that we need to keep the eye on is ISM manufacturing PMI data. This is going to be very big. This has to do with the business cycle. When you hear about that with ISM, another thing, Wednesday, employment data. Is employment going to come in good? Is employment going to come in bad? And, we've recently heard about the block layoffs and all these different companies doing layoffs around the world. My old company just announced another round of like 5,000 layoffs. So there's a lot of layoffs, but this is another thing that's kind of seems like an oxymoron, because if job numbers come in bullish, the market might dump. If job numbers come in bad, the market might pump. And why is that? Because bad job numbers means that it gives the Fed a reason to cut interest rates, So it's very interesting how you have to take all of this in. When we look at what else is coming up, January retail sales data, Friday, February jobs report Friday. Yeah. So I think all this is important. Like Wednesday, there's really nothing on Tuesday. So maybe Monday and Tuesday we're able to be good. Depending on what comes in Wednesday, we'll probably decide the rest of the week. But let's see here. Last Sunday I bought at 7 p.m. and it dumped like 15 minutes later, as every week. And so I did opposite and market did also. Yeah, I think they're watching your trades, dude. I think sometimes I feel like that with me. I feel like if I close something, it pumps or don't, depending on which way the trade was going. But yeah, so the other levels, if we want to look for BTC, obviously we just highlighted the 72K. We have this level right here that if we look at it, this level is up with the previous cycle all-time high, this second line that I have. And then this line up here, this 80K. And then we have 85K. We can put a line here at 85K. Personally, I kind of see that as the most that we could get out of this pump, because I've said before, I do expect another low on BTC, at least getting down to that 50 or 200 week simple moving average. However, that doesn't mean that if we do go on a run over the next, few months of 25% on Bitcoin, hypothetically, that we couldn't see multiple altcoins double or triple, depending on what the narrative is. But I do think, and we're diving into some of them, that I think we need to be very cognizant of what alts we go after and stuff. My buddy says he isn't buying until we see 55. Yeah, we'll probably see 55.001, and it'll probably get missed out. I wonder why 55, though. I wonder why 55 is the level, because about 58 right now is the 200 simple week moving average, and I don't think 55 correlates with any fib levels, but let's go look. So if we kind of come over here, and Blowfin's been around a couple years, so that's as far as the chart goes back. But BTC bottomed around 15, 16K last year. Sorry, I had somebody at my door. And so if we look at this, 50, this is why this makes a lot of sense for me, the 57, 58 range, is because if we take a look at it, not only does that correlate to the 200 simple week moving average, but it also correlates with the 618 fib level, okay, which is right there at the start of the golden pocket between 618, like 65%, which would bring us into this level right here. Somewhere in here. And then this level, if we lose that level, what I'm looking at is anywhere in here. Kind of like this level. But it doesn't mean we're down, down, down only, because if we come over here to the monthly chart for BTC, I mean, how many months in a row can you just capitulate? You know what I mean? Like we're down 55%. Now, if you want to look at macro time frames, and clear this out, this is a pretty good looking monthly candle. Like, yeah, it's down, but it closed up at half of it, right? And then we started back there, obviously, and then we came up to here. And so having a higher low on the monthly, and if we could close this month out at like 80, it would be a pretty good trajectory. But obviously we just have to take a look at what happens around everything going macro finance wise and things. So let's go see some other stuff going around. Let's look at when the odds are saying that that this could end. So will the regime fall by, is this new data? What? Okay. So people are saying odds are that if you look statistically, over half that it's by the end of this month. So that would correlate with what the president of the United States been saying of this being about a 4-week long strategy. And then the odds tick up, right? The longer this goes on, the worse it is for everyone involved, whether you're talking about people or finances. You know, it's just kind of a bad deal, period. Ceasefire buy. Let's take a look at this one. And this is over on Poly Market, who I would love a sponsorship from if you know anyone at Poly Market. Let's see. May 31st. Yeah. So, I mean, it looks like it's definitely going to be happening for a couple more weeks, at least in terms of the market. And by the end of this month, it's about 50-50 toss up, right? So we just have to see. Oil going, yeah, oil's going to. Oil opened up about 12% high this morning. And then there was a tax, I believe, in Saudi Arabia of oil facilities, refineries. And so, which is actually against international law. But, you know, nobody seems to follow that. I myself am tired of waiting on a big altcoin season. Let me know what altcoins y'all are looking at, and I'll tell you how good of quality I think they are, because I really think that when we look at all the alts, we're, you know, fear and greed's high, all that are low. But when we look at all the altcoins, I mean, I don't think we're ever going to have another time where everything just pump a dumps. Like, I really hope you don't tell me you're waiting on Polkadot to go back to all-time highs. You know, that might be a heartbreaker for you, the way I answer that. But there is some good quality alts. We covered a lot of them in that 4-hour live stream. And the narratives that I'm most excited about are, one, I do like layer ones. And I think layer ones, we're going to see a lot of them go down, like Polkadot. But we're also going to see some of them, you know, really take leadership in things. You know, even one of my favorites that I just continue getting more bullish on, even as price go down, is Ethereum, just because of the adoption Ethereum has. It's getting huge. Oh, you just said somebody. I'm waiting on ETH. Yeah, ETH's been in such a long consolidation phase, and yeah, ETH ain't going nowhere. But artificial intelligence. You know, we had one AI wave, you know, a little over a year ago, whatever it was, and we've seen AI coins pump hard and everything. But since then, really nothing. But we've got more development in those altcoins now than we did back then. You know, if you look at Bittensor TAO, the subnets are up. It's already up to like 128, 130 subnets. If you look at Akash is doing more computing. If you look at Render, if you look at what the Internet Computer's built, if you look at any of those, they're really making a lot of strides, you know, and that's a real narrative, right? It's not this hype-based meta gaming, you know what I mean, where you got Mark Zuckerberg getting behind it, putting on his goofy goggles and stuff. You know, it's nothing like that. But it's a real narrative, right? And especially decentralized AI. That's why I'm so bullish on Bittensor. The other one is privacy. At first, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I kind of thought it was a, I don't know, kind of like just an influencer hype thing. But then the more I started thinking about it, you know, as this adoption of stable coins comes, real world assets, transferring money globally, you know, instantaneously, you know, these big corporations, these big institutions, and even wealthy people, they don't want people knowing how much money they're moving around, right? So they would want something that has privacy. Also, I believe we will one day have paychecks and all of that being done with a form of stable coin that's instantaneous and cheaper. And even with that, if me and you're both working at the same job, say we're carpenters and we're both working at the same jobs, but you're a better negotiator. So I'm being paid $30, you're being paid $34 an hour, and we both get our paychecks. And then I got a problem because I was able to see on chain transparently that you're making more money than me. You know, so maybe you're just a better negotiator, or maybe I quit because I'm mad, you know? And so I think that's a real thing. And the next thing is decentralized dexes, you know, like Hyperliquid. If you take a look at what Hyperliquid's been able to do, they've got a huge liquidity and tokenized treasuries, and Blowfin has all that as well. But the hype token is something that I think is going to do really good. It's going to do really good. So those are kind of the three narratives that I am looking at. Let's see. Hi from Wells. What's up, buddy? How are you? Imni would be that. Is that a project? We can look at that in a minute. AKT U00. I feel like you just sent me a phishing link. What is it? I know Akash. I don't know what UO0026. Oh, is that subnet 26 for TAO? Is that what you're referring to? TAO's good projects, data, smart contracts. Let me know. Clarify this, what you were talking about, the U0026. I'd be interested to see what you were talking about at that. And then he said no fishing. I was just joking, buddy. I was just joking. If you're new here, I joke a ton. I joke an absolute ton. So if we look at where people think the price of BTC will get in March, 56% chance that it's going to get over 75. Okay. 100% chance that's going to get over 70. What's interesting about this that I just seen is that it's in review. And so, okay, so this isn't what it's going to close at. This is what it's going to hit. So it did hit that earlier. Like if you look, 70,106. So it did hit it. So, okay, I guess that's valid. Okay, I thought that market was what it was going to close at. But this is crazy. People can predict on like 5-minute charts. Like, look at this. 5 minutes, what's going to happen with Bitcoin? 5 minutes, what's going to happen with ETH? 5 minutes, what's going to happen with Solana, XRP? Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy to look at. Imni is a stable coin. Okay. Oh, you talking about privacy? Like it's a privacy stable coin? That's cool. Let's get back to my little picture. Let's see what's going on X, guys. I shared some things. Okay. Kuwait residents approach. Yeah, this was crazy. The Kuwait has been, on the defensive from Iran essentially, and it looks like I don't know if this is real footage or not. Maybe Grok can confirm, but I'm sure someone's here like, hey, Grok, is this true? But basically, they took down 3 fighter jets, U.S. fighter jets, on accident. And it doesn't sound like any of the pilots were hurt. They got ejected out of it. And but let's see what some of the news right now. Palantir, look at that, up 7%. Everybody wants a piece of Palantir, and that's because of this.
Is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them. Palantir is here.
That's what these governments want to hear. They want to have the power. I mean, because if you look at it, it's kind of been on a pretty crazy track record so far. If you look at what happened in Iran, if you look at what happened in Venezuela, Palantir, man, is Looney Tunes. Man, I think he's got like the perfect blend of autism. I think he's he's an interesting fella. Let's see here. Top energy analyst says Iran's navy is too weak to completely take out the Strait of Hormuz. That's why oil's spiking. Let's go over here on X. I'll show you all some stuff. I posted over the weekend. So that was oil up 12% in futures from 65 a barrel to almost 75. But if we look at, let's see. So this was kind of the key points from, this was President's second speech, not the one he gave the night of the, evasion, but of this. It was a supreme leader, obviously, out of there. Operations will continue until all objectives, and 3 soldiers at the time had unfortunately been taken out in war. There has been a 4th one I read since then. But this right here about Iran wanting to close the Strait of Hormuz. And if you don't know what that is,
Plus
it's this million barrel of oils a day. This is a clip from this weekend, and I'll show it to you. But this is the Strait of Hormuz, and you can see that Iran covers the vast majority of the land right there, and 22% of the world's oil goes through here. And I think, like, why can't we just chop this off? Like, if I was UAE, like, come on, man, just take this out right there. Like, and I'm not talking about because of this. It just seems like a pain in the butt to try to get through that little area. Just knock out that little bit of land, drive it down. But what's crazy is when people don't believe that, like, the world used to all be basically one continent and all that kind of stuff. But, like, look how this just fits together like a puzzle. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy to think about. I think I had another post about it. Maybe not. But the first one, basically this was the objectives. Taking out the Navy and missile bases. But there's been a lot of things going on. Like I said, Dubai had been went after and things like that. Let's see what everybody's saying. BTC reclaimed 69. Let's look at where it's at now. Yeah. So right now, in the short term, that's our level. Basically flipping 70K to be support is basically our level right now. Why did crypto pump today? It's been going down only for 7 straight months. Dario's warning about AI. Oh, let's listen to this. This is the Anthropic guy. And on Friday evening, after our Friday stream, I covered it on Saturday, but I don't know who all was able to make it. We did have like 500 something people in here, but that it was very interesting, the timeline of everything. Anthropic, the people behind Claude AI, they were given a deadline of 5 p.m. to respond, to be able to give the government more control to do with the AI what they wanted, because they said it was legal things and stuff like that. And there's kind of been public bashing going back and forth from like Secretary Pete Hegseth and Anthropic. But either way, OpenAI ended up signing a deal with Anthropic, OpenAI ended up signing a deal with the U.S. government. And so let's see what this says.
Taking data collected by private firms, having it bought by the government, and analyzing it in mass via AI. That actually isn't illegal. It was just never useful before the era of AI. So there's this way in which domestic mass surveillance is getting ahead of the law. The technology is advancing so fast that it's out of step with the law. Taking
but that's why I think we need decentralized AI like TAO. I don't want anybody like this being in control of any type of powerful artificial intelligence. U.S. generals on Iran said local air support. I don't know if I believe that. Oh, U.S. general. Okay. Local air superiority has been established. Yeah, makes sense. Matt, feels like sentiment has shifted on crypto. Now is theoretically the time that crypto should do good, right? There's uncertainty around the world. There's uncertainty around currencies and things like that. So Bitcoin, that I perceive as a store of value, right? Obviously, the market didn't perceive it as a store of value when gold was going up, right? Silver was going up. There's even people buying tons of copper and putting all these tons of copper in these warehouses and stuff. It wasn't seen as a store of value. And it's still looked at more as a risk on asset, right? It's looked at like a very, PE multiple tech stock, like something like that. And so we'll see when that changes. I know nothing about geopolitics, so I just close my eyes on long Palantir, and it actually works. Nah, what you seen Freeman post yesterday that Palantir was about to do it. Amazing. Reminder that the majority of times people call for the next great stock market crash because the market was too hot. It continued to just print up. I mean, yeah, but eventually it's going to happen. Let's go look at the Qs. Y'all know this is what I've been saying is really the only thing I care about looking at, because if the Qs roll over, everything's going to roll over. So this is the NASDAQ, essentially. Okay, so I mean, it's trying to hang on, but if it doesn't hang on and this does break, which, like I'm saying, I could be wrong, but if this does roll over, it's going down, I think. And the levels I'm looking at is anywhere between 540 and about 500. It also correlates to some fib levels that I drew up on Saturday. But, it's not a bad thing to have a correction. It's not a bad thing to have a stock market correction. I think it's needed. What if we had a 20% crash from here? 20% from the top would be right here at like 503. I think that would make sense. I think it would be healthy, especially when you zoom out and you take a look at this chart. It's like, oh, you mean to tell me we're going to go down to here? That's it? It's like, hey, okay, we've been on a heater, If we look at here, this was 2021, went down 35%. Okay. So what if it went down 35%? Okay. Takes us to this level. Okay. So what? I don't think it's bad, especially because I think all of this would coincide with like this hitting around here, which is around June, which is around the Federal Reserve is going to, Kevin Warsh, the Federal Reserve, is going to take roll mid-May. Okay. Jerome Powell's term ends like May 16th. He'll have to be confirmed by Congress and all that. And I don't know if that happens before or after. I would think before. But if he's confirmed, his first appointment at the Federal Reserve for the FOMC meeting will be middle of June. So if he comes in middle of June, cuts interest rates, you give time for liquidity to go through the system. Okay. And so now here you are over here towards the end of the year. And if you look at this line right here that I'm about to put up, this right here is a year from BTC's top, which is historically the end of a Bitcoin bear market. So everything makes sense to me that that's the path we're going. Could I be wrong? Yes. Not a financial advisor, none of that. But it makes sense to me that we get stocks to roll over a little bit. But when's that going to happen? I don't know. I also have a thesis that the reason that we seen Bitcoin capitulate last month. If we look basically from here, the beginning of February, so this all happened in 1 month's period of time. If you look at the Qs, it looks like it's about to happen on the Qs. Is because Bitcoin is the most risk-on of risk-on assets. And it's also the one that is most subject to liquidity tightening. And so I believe it's kind of like the foreseer of everything. I think crypto moves first, and I think crypto moves first both ways, I think. I think that when liquidity is tight, which we are at peak Fed liquidity tightening right now. We know that it's only going to get better fiscal policies from here. And so the tightness of liquidity hit the most risk-on of risk-on assets first, which was Bitcoin. It's kind of like the seeing into the future of things. And so crypto's always on the forefront of everything, man. I'm telling you. And it could even bottom quicker. I think it'll bottom quicker as well. But crypto's just, ahead of everything. But I could definitely see us having a move. And let me draw some squigglies, and then we can people can tell me I was right or wrong later. But, I could see something like this. I could see, something like this. Not that time frame, because I think it'll all end quicker. We're on oh, never mind. I thought that was a different let me draw that squiggle again. Let me go to the weekly over here on Blowfin. I could definitely see something like this, like boom, 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 something like that, and take out a level somewhere around here, and then keep going up, So somewhere around October, September, maybe even June. I mean, it depends. This could all be accelerated, I think, if we get the roll in the stock market. If this line breaks, I think we get a roll. And I'm being pretty generous with the way I'm drawing it too. Because if you kind of put it like this, if you actually draw it on the lines, let's move this down here. I'm kind of being generous. Kind of looks like it already wants to give up the ghost a little bit. Winning. What's up, Miss Crypto Empress? Good friend of mine, guys. So we just have to see. We have to see if we get a break out of this, a breakdown, and then we come back up and retest it and come down. Well, then we're probably going down. But I think sometimes don't overcomplicate your TA. Simple trend line will be okay. This trend line's been in effect since basically us breaking this all-time high. Okay, so it's been in effect for, what is this now? 9 months. Okay, so I think it's pretty good. Let's zoom in on this to see. So what we got right here, we got this touch point, we got this touch point, we got this touch point, we got this touch point. So that rejection might actually be happening now. So if we see that roll over, we'll see crypto roll over, I'm sure, and I think at least, and be going a little lower. But let's go take a look, dive in. What's Bitcoin? Let's look at BTC on the lower time frame. Dang it. Let's see. If we can get a bounce up here, I might take a short. And it would just be not one thinking that we're going to go, super low. Even though I never, whenever I make my trades, I don't ever really have a take profit. I do, in like just in case when I'm sleeping, something boom drops, super low, and I want to make sure to get it. But typically, like let's say this went like just let's say theoretically, right? Say it did this, right? Okay. And if it did this, instead of taking profit here, what I would do is like move my stop loss up to a level of support. So like if it was like right here, and I know that line's not straight, but I'd have like stop loss right there, right? And so if it kept going, I'm good. If it comes and it stops out, okay, well, I'm still in, all this other profit. You can also use a trailing stop, which is something that's a little different, but people can look that up. What it is basically you're saying if you set your trailing stop to like 3%, it basically means that if the chart's going the way you want it to and it makes over a 3% move the other way, that it would stop you out. And so, or, if you were long, the opposite direction and stuff. But we are at this trend line right here, right? And it got rejected from the breakout of that trend line. And so it looks like we might be going, back down a little bit. But like I said, it's not a bad thing. Like if we look at this macro wise, we have not invalidated this. Even when the Iran thing was announced, we did not break the previous low. So from a structural standpoint, we've got this low, we've got this low, we've got this low. This is higher lows, higher lows. Looks good. From that standpoint, let's go look at the RSI on the daily now. So yeah, we were cooked over here. The RSI was way down here. And that's what I've been saying a lot too. It's like, you just don't have to overcomplicate your TA. It doesn't have to look like it's an FBI investigation or a, forensic investigation with lines everywhere. Sometimes it's the simplest of simplest things. Like, oh, wow. When RSI gets underneath 20, typically bottoms there. You know what I mean? And wow, when RSI gets, up above 80, wow, it typically tops there. Like, there's ways to make this extremely simple and, be decent at it, and then you just always have to use good stop losses and everything. So that's something. While we're here, I seen we had like 80 more people join. Just wanted to say shout out to our stream sponsor, Blowfin. Thank y'all for supporting the channel and everything. It's where I used to do these trades and stuff. And if you are looking for an exchange, feel free to use the QR code, or you find a link somewhere. I got them on my page and under the videos and comments and description, all that kind of stuff. But let's see here. Yeah, BTC kind of looks like it wants a little lower. We'll see. Let's look at something like Palantir that did really good earlier. I think it's PL. So this is the defense contractor, right? So it went up from Friday to this morning, 7%. And this is an asset that is a huge market cap. Let me see. What's the... $350 billion market cap. Like, it really looks small when you look at NVIDIA at 4-point-something trillion. But yeah, and so it's given up a little bit today, and that's probably why we're seeing everything else pull back. Everything's kind of connected, It's pulled back about 1.2% over on Palantir. Let's look at Circle, the company behind the stablecoin USDC. This is one, I showed it on the stream back here. I purchased over here before this drop. I put like 30 grandos in it. But it's up a good amount since then. 50%. That's like a used Honda Civic. And what's cool, not to keep going back to this, but like Blowfin has Circle and stuff like that too. Hey, buddy. What's up, man? I hope you're doing good. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. I really do. I really do. Markets are looking okay. Let's see what happens on BTC. It's kind of like what we're looking for. Let's see if we can hold this low right here of 68.7 and see if we can get back above this right here of 70. RSI is pretty high on the weekly and stuff. Let me see. I got a question over here. I got my clipper guy asking me for questions. He's who does all my clips and edits all those and stuff for me. Let's go look at TAO. Man, TAO's showing strength, guys. I know it's funny when I show this screen. I say, man, it's showing strength. But you got to realize the crypto is not the price, you know, and Warren Buffett said that a long time ago with stocks, right? That, you know, the stock is not always representative of the company, and that the same thing applies, that the crypto is not always, you know, directly correlated with the token price, right? Things happen, markets happen, people take profits, projects are building. You know, if we take a look at this is on the 4-hour, was up 11%. And now about 5% right here. So 5% down. So about 5-6% up on the day. So the big levels to watch right here for TAO, if you're somebody that likes TAO like I do, is anywhere between this level and this level. You know, that's been the resistance pocket so far. But the same thing with that. Like, I mean, it made a low, it made a higher low, and since made a higher low. So kind of from a structural standpoint, as long as it doesn't break this, it looks okay. I had some people commenting because I did the interview with Anthony Pompliano, and they're like, "Did you tell him about Kaspa?" And I was like, "No, dude. Like, I'm doing a 45-minute interview. I'm not here to like shill any project to anybody. You know, it's like, you know, I just met the man. He gave me the opportunity to interview him. I was very appreciative of that. I think he would love it. I think he should know about it. And he follows me, so good news is he probably will know about it. But look, this is some escalation, though. This is you know, this is civilian stuff, right? So we just got to keep eyes on this stuff, guys. What's happening macro wise? Will Base end up being the home for AI tokens? Venice token on Base chain is not a meme. It's a privacy AI platform. They run open source AI models on their platform. Zero logging, zero censorship, and VVV powers the API access for the platform itself. I hope Base goes all in on AI meta. You know, I'm so glad I haven't, maybe I have Jesse blocked. I don't know. I'm so glad I haven't seen a tweet that said coin everything or tokenize everything. Every tweet should be a coin. Like, nobody wanted that. I've never seen such a poor marketing effort in my life. Why is silver crashing with global instability? Because they realize it doesn't matter. That's why. They realize that whatever happens, it's all baked into the chart. Last night, US B-1s struck deep inside Iran to degrade ballistic missile capabilities, and the president stated we're going to, yeah, they're pretty much trying to do all that. Bottom is in. Bitcoin will make a new all-time high this year. Rest in peace to the fallen soldiers. Man, I don't think we're going to make a new all-time high this year, but I think I think we have potential to get some traction. This is like oil tankers in the region, you know, so they're doing a lot of stuff. I think what they're trying to do is just create a lot of instability throughout the region. I think that's kind of their goal. Poly market traders are pricing a 55% chance that Bitcoin hits 60 before 80. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. 75 is going to be a big level. Yeah, this level right here, this 74 level, it's going to be a big level. And then people might front run the 60 or the 80 and go 79.5 on sales and stuff like that. What did Jack Dorsey say? Bitcoin doesn't fix problem itself. People use it to solve them. I mean, this is a good post right here. Not asking for much, but a mini alt season led by ETH would be nice. You know, if we did get this is basically the line we're at now. If we did get a drop, oh no, he's saying we're here right now. Yeah, if we got a little drop now and then we got resolution. So let's hypothetically play this out. That because if we come over here and we look, it's a 50-50 chance that it's by the end of this month. Okay. 68% chance that's not. Whenever we get an announcement that it's over with, whatever it is, you know, the ceasefire, a new regime, whatever. Okay. Whenever we have resolution to that, I think we're going to get a bullish pump out of markets. And that could lead us into a mini altcoin season, you know? And so let's go through a couple of the ones I'm looking at. ETH, I like ETH a lot. I've said it time and time again. I think ETH is going to do crazy numbers just because Wall Street currently is all in on ETH. I'm not saying there's not better chains that could do it, but if we look at total value lock data on DeFi Llama, 59% of all total value locked in DeFi is on ETH. It's not going anywhere. It's holding a lot of strength. I mean, I do like XRP, but I think there's better multiples that could be had out of stuff. You know, if we get an altcoin season, those Solana's one to look at. Like if we get tax returns coming in, which they've already started to roll out, and they say tax returns for the people that get them are on average like $1,000 more. What if we seen some of that roll into the trenches? You know what I mean? And if we got a lot of demand for meme coins or something like that, and we were even able to get a push up to here, you know, that's a 75% pump on Solana. And Solana's a large market cap project, right? Zcash. You know, this hit this tagged the 786 fib level perfectly. Anyone that's been following me for a long time knows that I like the 886 fib level. But for things that are more established, which I wouldn't necessarily say that in Zcash, because Zcash, even though it's been around a long time, it's spent a very long time low. And so it made a new all-time high. 786 fib level, that could be it. But it could also come down to this, you know, 886 fib level. But I do not think Zcash was just a short-term narrative. I think that's going to be around. Bittensor is awesome. I like Aster. They're supposed to be coming out with their own privacy layer 1, which I think is a good sign. A privacy layer 1, which is what, you know, Hype did. Hype was originally launched with Arbitrum, but then they came out with their own layer 1. But if Aster could tie in the DEX narrative on top of the privacy narrative, I think that could be very, very bullish for markets. Great. Yeah, man. I like it. I like it. Thank you for joining. Memes, I don't think are done. I don't think so. But this chart don't look too good. I just think people want newer memes. You know, people want newer things, you know. Yeah, it looks cooked. I don't think it is, but it looks cooked. Internet computer, if you zoom out, this was all manipulation on futures markets by FTX. I have an interview with Six Figs who did a deep documentary on that. It was really good. But I also want you to pay attention to how quick ICP can move. You know, this thing can move quick, very, very quick. So let's draw that. Okay. If you just look last year when this thing dropped down to $2, it did like a 4 or 5x, like a 4x in the span of, let's redraw that. In the span of a month, you know? So thing could move really, really quick. Even if it just goes, you know, back to there, that's a 1x. Back to there's a 3x, you know? So WorldCoin. So, I mean, this is its first cycle. Zero knowledge proofs, governance. Very top heavy, but I'm sure that's exchanges and stuff like that. But the mission of WorldCoin project is to build the world's largest identity and financial network as a public utility and give ownership to everyone. Resolves around World ID, a privacy preserving global identity. World ID enables users to verify their humanness online, person of personhood, while maintaining their privacy through ZK proofs. To engage with the WorldCoin protocol, individuals must first download World App, the first wallet app that supports the creation of a World ID. This kind of sounds like what that stuff they do in China where they have like one app for absolutely everything. It's an ERC token. Built, looks like it's built on the OP stack, which is what Base used to be built on, but Base is now going away from the OP stack. Kaspa still at 3 cents. I'm still bullish on it. Still bullish on Kaspa. Algorand, where's Algorand looking? They're doing a lot of stuff. They have a seminar coming up. I wanted to share that. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little more tomorrow. But on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, they have a seminar coming up that's designed to teach people about different things that Algorand's doing and how to utilize the tools. So we'll go over that. Pudgy is my favorite meme coin. Like, I think it's just got the best ecosystem, and you can't fade Luca nets, and so I would not count Pudgy Penguins out at all. I want to do a little deeper dive on Ethereum real quick before we wrap up today. So here was a slight bullish divergence. This is on the daily. So You have price going down, RSI going up. Okay, that's a bullish divergence. Let's look at the weekly. Starting to get a tick up. Let's look at the MACD. So we had the bull cross here. Yeah. I think ETH looks good. Yeah. I mean, man, what if the low is in this cycle, though? You know? I mean, I really don't think it is. But it's also hard to argue that, you know, a good value at 60% discount, right? Maybe it goes to 70, maybe it goes to 80, but 50% discount. I mean, if you've got a long-term mindset, it's really hard to argue with that. Obviously, this line right here would be peak opportunity, like, which would be, where is that? About 71% down. So this right here, 1380. See, I was charting these the other day on the live stream Saturday. Great opportunity for Freeman. And so, yeah, I'm definitely bullish on Ethereum. I think that it's locked up, total value locked. Circle looks good. How's NVIDIA looking? NVIDIA had great earnings. Like, this is the daily. NVIDIA had absolutely great earnings, and then it dropped like 12%. But this is a huge valued company. Like when we looked at Palantir earlier, Palantir's a 300 bill market cap. If you look at NVIDIA, NVIDIA's 4.4 trillion. NVIDIA's market cap is currently twice the crypto market cap, 4 times the Bitcoin market cap. We are early to BTC, guys. We're early to crypto. We're early to all the good stuff. There's a lot of vaporware out there that we gotta be mindful of, that we gotta be careful of. But we are early. We're early to an emerging industry. No matter what anybody says, no matter how anyone wants to try to FUD us out of our bags, we are going up eventually. And we will see. But guys, like I said, if you want to looking for a new exchange, shout out to our stream sponsor. This is Blowfin. There will be a link down below. Also, there is a QR code. I may do something this month where anyone that joins, they can get a free month or 2 in the Discord, something like that. Because that's where, even though it's never financial advice, nothing, I just like to share what I'm doing and try to teach people technical analysis and things like that. But so what we got to watch out for, BTC has to pass 72K. That's really the big line of resistance. Until then, everything's kind of following Bitcoin right now. So personally, myself, I'm only trading Bitcoin because everything else is kind of just moving as a proxy of BTC. So I might as well just trade the asset with the highest liquidity. On the flip side of that, we've got global tensions, right, that we definitely have to keep an eye on. And then the third thing that we have to keep an eye on is the stock market. Because if this rolls over, you know, it could have problems for everything else. And this is a trend line that's going back about 9 months that we're trying to stay above. We just got back over it. But if we do see a breakthrough, you know, we could potentially be in for a little correction in the stock market. But anytime there's a bear market, I believe these are the best times, because if you're prepared, if you have capital allocated, you know, in a way that preserves it, then it's an opportunity to buy quality things at a discount. And that's what I personally am doing. But guys, thank you all for joining us. We will be back tomorrow, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, for the daily Finance Freeman live stream. I love you all. Thank you for joining. See you tomorrow.